There are many untold stories of World War II. Between me and you, there are many shrouded secrets as well. Some even say that one of the world's worst atrocities never even happened. I hope to shed some light on some dark secrets as we look into this extremely horrific time. Hello everyone, this is IconicBelow or Zach, and this is the return of Shrouded Secrecy. And today, the gameplay in the background, a little bit of it is a little steampunk game called, I believe it is Bioshock Infinite. There's going to be about 10 minutes of that gameplay, and if I run over, then there will be some COD that I have sitting around. So don't really pay attention to the gameplay unless you really want to just sit there and watch something. But this is the return of Shrouded Secrecy. So, as always guys, you guys know what this is. I am diving deeper into the history that has either been covered up or not really told to the full potential. I will give you my opinion and what we are taught and some other things that it could possibly be. We have some really cool topics today on World War II, including the creation of Israel, why it was made, some things in the Holocaust, and possible connections with America to the Holocaust, and shitty things we did to everybody we felt like we didn't like. First, everyone knows the history of the Holocaust, as well as the crazy stories that were told. During this time, many people were killed just for their ideologies, race, nationalities, as well as sometimes their sexuality. Some people were tested on, including twins, people who have ADHD and things like that. Really fucked up time if you really think about it. In the end, the totals are heartbreaking. About 7 million deaths just from the atrocities at places like Auschwitz. The Euro Germany section wasn't the only place that these atrocities happened. When I was in school, both Japanese internment camps and death marches in Asia, neither of these were really ever covered as much as the Holocaust, or at all in reality, which personally really confuses me. If you think about it, my school, I don't know about everybody else's, but we had an entire month to learn about the Holocaust. Now, if you think about it, that month should be split up of all World War II. You want to be able to cover the things that we did, what our enemies did, but in the end, I guess the victor really did write history, because we don't cover Japanese internment camps. We don't cover what actually happened to us in things like the Bataan Death March and stuff like that I will tell you about in a little bit. So those two things really kind of affected me, especially when you look at it, because they're not taught. Why aren't they taught? Just because we did something shitty to somebody doesn't mean it shouldn't be taught, because if it's taught, then we may not redo it. So neither of these were covered as much as the Holocaust. So now let's break down the problems in Asia. The two huge things that I researched and really didn't learn about all that much were Batam's Death March, which were American troops in the Philippines, and the rape of Nanking, which was when Japan invaded Manchuria. Now, in the Philippines, there was a United States base in a place called Batam. This base was taken over by the Japanese army, and all of the American soldiers were forced to walk about 30 miles without stopping. This caused quite a few, if not about half of the soldiers, dying on the way to the city. These people would pass out and then be trampled and ran over by Japanese soldiers that pushed them out into the middle of the street. If you really think about that, that is one gruesome thought. They would walk over the people that they went to work with every day, and just the Japanese soldiers would come over and throw them in the middle of the street, and then the cars would sit there and go back and forth over top of them. And that's devastating if you really think about it. That has to be very horrifying to watch, on top of walking 30 miles in a day. Here, I can drive from my house to the Capitol in 30 minutes. That's 30 miles. It's crazy amount of walking distance. I guess if you're taking a few breaks here and there, that would probably take a couple days, maybe a day, just walking. And that's taking breaks. These people weren't taking breaks, and they had quite a few people. This isn't the only problem that Japan caused. The other thing that they did that was obviously horrible was something called Nanking. Japanese forces took all of the population of the city and killed all of the men. Then they raped and molested all of the women and children, and then killed them as well. Both of these things were on the level of the Holocaust and horrible things. But now, we weren't as innocent as some people think. We did something called Japanese internment camps. Remember how the Germans took all the Jews' belongings and took them out of their house and put them in camps? Well, we did the same with Japanese Americans. Now, that's where the, oh, okay, that makes sense, stops. We seized all their properties and stores. We never really gave them back to them. And a little while later, I believe it was either JFK or Lyndon Johnson, ended up giving them subsidies and stuff like that. A nice sum of money, but at the same point, how can you legitimize taking stuff from somebody just because you feel like they're a threat to your country? I understand taking as much as you possibly can, but at the same point, why take people's jobs and stuff like that and put them into a camp? We don't really know how many people died there. Obviously, they're not going to report them because of, obviously, the U.S. government were having quite a bit of problems at this point. But supposedly they didn't kill anybody. No one really knows exactly. To these, they're dark secrets, and they're all pretty equal in human rights violations. Obviously, with things like the Geneva Convention and a few other things that have happened since, we're not able to just detain people and put them in places. Obviously, with places like dark sites and stuff like that still happening, we really don't abide by them. So it would be really scary to see something that may happen like this again. Now, let's move on to something a little bit lighter. The next question I'd like to ask is, why was Israel made after World War II? Now, let's talk about the facts that are normally given. Many learned that the country was created because of the Jews deserved it because of the Holocaust. The part of that is concerning is this land wasn't part of the war, yet was created into a new country. As far as I remember, this is the only time that a new country was formed after a war that wasn't really a part of it. There are two reasons that I could think of. The United States didn't have any allies in the region. If you look, that region has normally been very unstable, not really able to talk to white people, things like that. So putting Jews in this area would kind of not necessarily stabilize the region, but give us a way to talk to them. So that definitely gives us an opportunity. And another thing is, we could definitely have put them there for oil. You know, if you think about it, that could have been the major reason. We really wanted oil. Obviously, that area is amazing with oil. So that could have been another big factor. Obviously, I don't really know the numbers on how much oil Israel creates and things like that. But with some of the oil leaders in the area, is like Saudi Arabia and stuff like that. You have Dubai, which is in the Arab Emirates. There's a lot of countries around there that are huge in oil, and I would expect Israel to be around the same, just because of the same region. Now, as far as my ideas on this, you can also watch my Israel versus Palestine video, but I had an idea why I was thinking of these reasons, because these are the two reasons I thought of. They should have put them on the Sinai Peninsula. There's no real huge locations there. There's no cities or anything like that that has really kind of exploded in that area. And to tell you the truth, giving it to somebody for their religion is a bit crazy. You know, you can't be given something just because you're religious or something like that. Just because you're religious, you don't deserve something different from somebody else, or just because you're a different religion than somebody, you don't deserve something else. So giving Palestine's country up, essentially, is kind of a slap in the face to them, especially when you really think about it, that they've been fighting over this land for a while, and then all of a sudden we just give it to them because they have atrocities happen to them. It's a bit crazy. In my opinion, we gave it to them just because oil was found there, as well as being able to demand it because of religious ties. Neither of these really give them a right to the piece of land that they were given. Any more info or opinions that I have, feel free to watch my Israel video. I do get a little bit graphic in it just because it's an aggravating topic. You know, we talk about consistent things like what the hell is going on in the world, and people killing each other over religion really doesn't make religion look legitimate. You got to really think of it that way. People obviously are going to be extremists one way or the other. Personally, you can't look at it with bias, and you can't be like, well, I'm an American, so I gotta support Israel. No, you're able to have your own opinions, and religion shouldn't be your tie to a country. So, if you guys want more of my opinion on Israel and Palestine, or why Israel was created, or what should happen now that we are still having problems with Israel and Palestine, make sure to check out that video. It is by far one of the larger videos on my channel, just because of, obviously, the controversy. Now, let's move on to the last glaring problem. But first, let's look at something that recently happened, probably a couple years ago, when Osama bin Laden was killed. There was no proof released at all. That, to me, is very shocking, especially when we have movies that show people getting shot, and not like vaguely where you see a shadow. You legitimately see the person getting shot, and yet the government said that this was way too graphic for us to see. Now, supposedly he was shot in the head. That doesn't bother me. That doesn't bother quite a few people who deal with that kind of things. You know what I'm saying? Like doctors, surgical people, things like that aren't really going to be affected by looking at people's heads blown up. Obviously, not everybody is apt to being able to deal with things like that, but just being able to look at something and being like, okay, yes, that is truth, or no, that's not him. I'm not a retard, I can see that, but it really does raise some eyebrows. There has been another time where this happened. Something very similar happened with, I think it's a guy who's a little fucked up in the head and had some crazy ideologies, took over a country. You may know him as Hitler, I think is what his name was. The story is, when the Allies began to take over Berlin, both Adolf and his wife committed suicide with cyanide. Obviously, this has been a big topic for a very, very long time. Things like Family Guy and South Park both have made fun of this, saying that one of them didn't kill themselves, whatever. Obviously, they supposedly killed themselves. The little facts that are left leaves a lot to the imagination. Now, there are two theories that have happened. I talked to some friends that love this topic as well. I talked to some researchers online, Googled. Obviously, that's one of the easiest things to do for anybody who is interested in a topic. But my main theory was, I actually found it on a TV show. I believe it was Decoded. If you ever watch that show, it's a great show, especially if you're interested in this show. Is that he possibly went to South America. Now, it sounds a little bit weird, but first, he supposedly transferred all of his funds from the Nazi Party to a country in South America. There were 3 U-boats that left a few days before the battle. Now, Hitler's body supposedly was never found, and that leaves a few ideologies to be examined. Another thing is, there were buildings in South America that were found that had swastikas and the Third Reich emblems all over them. huge buildings. Now, a country that's at war is not going to be able to expand into South America with not that much money backing them. If you really think about it, there's a huge depression going on and stuff like that. So that obviously needs to be the last part of their government, is possibly moving over there. A few SS escaped, obviously going through the U-boats. There were a couple found in America, there were a couple found in South America, there were a couple spread all the way throughout the world. But all of these funds and everything else transferred over to Argentina really, really confuses quite a few people, especially with these massive buildings with German symbols and architecture. That really, really confuses quite a few people, and that's personally what I believe. Now, a few other people told me that the other theory is that he was never found because they burned him at a pyre in Berlin during the battle. Now, things that didn't make sense to me was that Himmler and other SS officers didn't get killed as well with them. That, to me, was the biggest glaring hole, but obviously Himmler and a few other SS officers got dealt with at the Nuremberg trials. So, was Hitler really acting on his own ideologies at that point? And that's what you really got to think of, because if Hitler was keeping his SS officers with him and everything else, and he went off on his own, Himmler was left to his own accord. So if he was taken by US troops and everything else, then that's Himmler's problem. But I don't see Hitler killing himself by himself. He's going to kill himself with a whole bunch of SS officers, and it's going to be a big show, especially with how out to get everyone he was, and how he thought everybody is out to get him. He's going to make a big show of his death. Especially, that's what makes sense to me, how huge of a public speaker he was, and how out there he really was. Every tank that was designed for the German army, he designed pretty much by himself, if not aided in designing them. So, with him being such a creative person, being a pioneer as well, it definitely makes him look like he is going to be somebody who's going to be more showy. He doesn't really care if something happens. If something happens, he's going to stand up and be like, yeah, it was me. So him fleeing to Argentina makes a hell of a lot more sense than him killing himself and then being burnt at a pyre, especially with other SS officers going missing. That's where it kind of creates the Shrouded Secret right there. You don't really know exactly what happened just because of it's all stories. Nobody really knows. Nobody has pictures of Hitler being killed. You know, we went into that bunker and supposedly they never found his body. But then there's some other stories where they found his body in the first room. Nobody really knows, and that's the problem. So I guess that is one of the biggest secrets of World War II, is what actually happened to Hitler and what actually happened to his body. Was he living until his 80s or 90s in Argentina? Was he living with his wife, his kids? It would be really, really cool to see somebody go down to Argentina and just explore this ideology just a little bit more. I'd love to do it myself, but personally I am poor and not able to. So let's hope one of these cool guys that does one of these TV shows or something like that goes out there and finds out the truth. Now it is time to bring the show out. Feel free to leave your opinion in the comments, and as always guys, like the video if you enjoyed it, sub if you would like to see more, and as always, don't listen to what you're told. Dive deep into the secrets and shroud yourself in theories. Till next time, this is Below out. Now guys, if you guys want to see more, make sure you guys leave what you guys want me to dive into in the comments below, or wherever you guys find this. If you guys find this on Facebook, either being subbed to my YouTube channel, on Reddit or something like that, make sure you guys leave your comments so that way I get the feedback I need to make better content for you guys. I do apologize for the scattered gameplay in the background. I am unable to record because of my piece of shit computer. Obviously, I've been able to upgrade it a little bit and get it to run a little bit faster, but it still has its problems and it's taking 10 minutes to upload. So, Thank you for all of the support, guys. And as always, guys, this has been your boy IconicBelow. See you later.